Through the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills 14 seasons, there's been one constant, Kyle Richards. As the only OG housewife, Kyle has gotten particularly familiar with how things run on the show. However, recently it's come to many viewers' attention that she has become so intertwined with production that she's no longer just a cast member, she's the one steering the ship. Kyle doesn't follow the network's orders anymore, she makes the orders. She has this stranglehold over the series where she always seems to know the agenda ahead of time and somehow manages to dodge the tough questions while everyone else gets dragged in the mud. If the network doesn't do something about this stranglehold, Kyle could end up killing the series. Kyle Richards dominates reunions, but is never held accountable. Reunions are the most blaring example of Kyle's stranglehold over rhobh. Without fail, she is always placed beside Andy Cohen, which is considered the spot where the housewives who created the most drama of that season are sat. However, she's not there to get flamed, just to take in the spotlight. This is where Kyle's superiority complex shows. Kyle always dominates the conversation, but is never really held accountable for her actions. Andy always tiptoes around her, asking questions that Kyle has almost rehearsed the answers to. A notable example is how Erika Jayne was wrung out at the reunion during her divorce versus how Kyle was treated. Erika was grilled on everything surrounding her divorce, from nasty rumors to legal scandals. Nothing was off limits, and that's how most housewives are treated. However, Kyle seems to get a special pass. Andy seems to avoid the rumors surrounding her separation from Mauricio Umansky, including the real estate mogul being seen partying with much younger models. When Kyle begins to look the slightest bit uncomfortable, he backs off. Erika was not given the same special treatment. While all the ladies are grilled on their mistakes throughout the season, Kyle always seems to skate by with rehearsed emotion and fake humility. She seems to choose between playing the role of the victim or the voice of reason, but never takes accountability as the villain she truly is. Reunions are all about real confrontations and unfiltered emotion, and Kyle's curated narrative is ruining that authenticity. The other housewives tiptoe around Kyle Richards. Kyle's stranglehold on the series also shows when the other housewives tiptoe around her. The only person I would say is somewhat holding her accountable this season is Dorit Kemsley, but that comes after years of sucking up to her. Kyle did one of the lowest things a friend can do, break girl code. After sending texts to Dorit's soon-to-be ex-husband, Paul P.K. Kemsley, and lying about the nature of those texts and their friendship, I think Dorit should have had a far stronger reaction. You just don't talk to a best friend's ex, even more so since the two aren't talking. However, I think Dorit still has this feeling that her fate with the show lies in Kyle's hands, and she can't get on Kyle's bad side or else she'll be punished. Erika and Sutton Stracke bow down before Kyle like no other. Although Erika is trying to play Switzerland, you can tell that she will take any opportunity to throw in a comment in support of Kyle. Sutton may as well lick the ground Kyle walks on. She seeks constant validation from Kyle, and that really showed in St. Lucia. During a group dinner, Kyle finally defended Sutton when it came to her feud with Dorit, and in her confessional Sutton said, "Kyle's stepping up for me. See, I knew we were friends. I knew it, and now everybody does too." Sutton knows that sucking up to Kyle will get her in a good position on the show. Meanwhile, Garcelle Bavas and Bazoma St. John have called Kyle out, but are still careful not to go too far. Garcelle took an opportunity at the season 14 reunion to expose Kyle, saying that something she told Garcelle off camera seemed like it was said to shut her up. Garcelle didn't go as far as saying what Kyle said to her, most likely out of fear of the repercussions. Although both Garcelle and Boz have had the confidence to call Kyle out, neither have had the guts to truly expose her. You can visibly tell that all the castmates are scared of Kyle and are following her lead, which is really off-putting and defeats the purpose of reality TV. If Kyle's strange hold over the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is an indication of one thing, it's that the series needs a major cast shakeup. Everyone needs to be on equal footing, and that means the network has to cut ties with Kyle. Between hogging the spotlight, curating narratives to fit her interests, and creating an environment where her castmates have to tiptoe around her, Kyle has become untouchable. And the favoritism is so thick, you can cut it with a knife. Kyle Richards and the unspoken power dynamic on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Over 14 seasons of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, there has been one consistent presence, Kyle Richards. As the only original cast member still holding a diamond, Kyle has become more than just a familiar face. She's the centerpiece of the franchise. But her longevity on the series has sparked debate among fans and critics alike. Many now wonder whether her deep entwinement with the show has tipped the balance of power too far in her favor. What started as a platform to showcase the lives of affluent women in Beverly Hills has, over time, become something more curated, especially when it comes to Kyle's narrative. Once a participant, Kyle now appears to be in the driver's seat, subtly shaping the dynamics of the series and influencing how events unfold both on and off screen. From cast member to central power player, there's no denying that Kyle knows how the show works. Over the years, she's mastered the art of reality TV, how to maintain audience interest, how to tell a story, and, more crucially, how to protect her image. But with that mastery has come a new kind of role, unofficial producer. Many viewers have noticed how Kyle often seems to know the storyline in advance, appears protected during reunions, and somehow avoids the toughest confrontations her fellow housewives are regularly subjected to. Unlike other housewives who often face intense scrutiny, Kyle tends to navigate dramatic moments with remarkable ease. Whether this is due to favoritism, experience, or behind-the-scenes influence, the result is clear. Kyle plays by a different set of rules. While some admire her savvy, others feel it's distorting the integrity of the show. Reunions reveal the imbalance. Nowhere is this imbalance more obvious than at the reunions. These episodes are typically the emotional crescendo of each season, where conflicts are addressed and loose ends tied. It's where accountability meets drama, and yet Kyle often escapes the hot seat. Traditionally, the seat next to host Andy Cohen is reserved for the most prominent or controversial housewives of the season. Kyle is frequently in that seat, but the treatment she receives contrasts sharply with how others are handled. When Erika Jayne faced legal and personal upheaval during her divorce, she was questioned at length about every detail. But when it came time for Kyle to address her own separation from Mauricio Umansky, the conversation felt muted. Andy's questions seemed lighter, and when Kyle appeared even slightly uncomfortable, the conversation was redirected or softened. This contrast didn't go unnoticed by fans. They pointed out how Kyle's narrative was presented with more care, more protection, and more spin. Her answers often felt rehearsed, and unlike some of her co-stars, she rarely faced real-time challenges or follow-ups. Playing the role that suits her. One of Kyle's strengths is her ability to adapt her persona to the moment. Depending on the situation, she can be the peacemaker, the emotional center, or even the comic relief. But one role she rarely embraces is that of the instigator or antagonist, even when her actions would suggest otherwise. Over the seasons, Kyle has managed to sidestep major backlash by deflecting or downplaying her involvement in conflicts. When tensions rise, she often manages to remain just outside the blast zone, rarely the focal point of fan criticism or cast confrontations. This ability to shape perception has led some viewers to feel the show lacks the unfiltered honesty that made it compelling in earlier seasons. While fans don't necessarily expect perfection, they do want fairness and authenticity. When one cast member seemed shielded from scrutiny, it undermines the balance the show depends on. Cast dynamics in the Kyle effect. Beyond the reunions, Kyle's influence is evident in her relationships with the other cast members. There's a recurring sense that many of her fellow housewives are careful around her, cautious not to cross any invisible lines. Whether it's due to her tenure, her perceived connection to production, or simply her on-screen charisma, Kyle often occupies a space of unspoken authority. Dorrit Kemsley's recent pushback was one of the few moments of genuine tension directed at Kyle. Their friendship has seen ups and downs, but the fact that Dorrit, someone who has often aligned herself with Kyle, was willing to challenge her this season suggests a potential shift. Still, even Dorrit appeared hesitant to push too far, perhaps mindful of the delicate balance required to remain in Kyle's good graces.